November 22, 2021. Listen, certain segments of the population have come close to learning things that are best left alone. Some of you already know what I'm about to tell you, some of you have never heard of it. Everyone should get angry because this is the most shocking secret ever. At least the most shocking secret I know of. Since the fall of 2008, I have been part of a program to survey, gather information and conduct behavior-changing activities on hundreds of U.S. citizens. The goal of this program is to perform soft re-education of target people with the intent of returning them as useful American taxpayers from the paranoid depravity that they currently live in. Or at least, misdirect them away from the truth. Those running the program? More about that later. I didn't know whom I was working for in the beginning. I do now, and it's much worse than I thought. This program failed. Now things will be getting far worse. First, let me tell you my story. I was out of work. I did marketing and market analyses for a large corporation. You have no doubt heard of it, but I won't divulge their name. I got laid off. I had a family, so I immediately started on the job hunt. 6 months later, I was still out of work and trying to make ends meet with unemployment. I was drinking heavily. I had no prospects and no future. I was in such a deep pit that my wife left me and I was alone. Then came an email which changed my life from correps@sungmail.net. We are looking for a few good men. Join the Corps today. Good pay, benefits, service. A chance to make a difference. Sign up now. Just for laughs, I sent a reply. Instantly, I got a reply. Go to this address for an interview at 1300 on April 3, 2008. Don't be late. corrupshr@sunmail.net. I thought, what the hell? I'm not doing anything else. It was in a seedy part of town, but I climbed into my suit and went anyway. I got some strange looks from people. They thought I was a pimp or something. The building was a nondescript brownstone like thousands in the city. It had that old apartment aroma, cold inside, like the heat was not working. Just inside was a desk and a guard. He took one look at me, then jerked his thumb to the stairs and said room 201. The stairway was marble with steps bowed in from thousands of people who had passed here. The floor was green and white flecked tile. I let myself into room 201 and saw it was empty. A frosted glass sliding window was closed and there was a worn-looking couch. I sat and waited. I was a little early, so I watched and listened. The room was silent. Utterly silent. Shortly there was a click. A door opened and a young man in a shirt and tie came out and walked directly out of the office. He didn't look at me, his hands were clenched into fists and his eyes were glazed. I was starting to freak out a bit when the door clicked open again. A voice said, "Come in, Mr. Smith." I was surprised because I hadn't given my name to anyone. Inside was a short corridor and an open door. Inside that was a dark room and a U.S. government-issue aluminum chair. "Please, take a seat," said the voice. I sat and waited seemingly for a long time. There was nothing in the room but an AC duct in the ceiling. One of those old-time steam radiators against a wall. A couple of speakers were on a tripod across from the chair. I noticed a small webcam like you might find at Walmart. The light on the webcam was on. I fidgeted and waited for several more minutes. The door behind me clicked. It was shut. I hadn't heard it closing. I got up and tried the door. It was locked. "Please, take a seat," said the voice. It was exactly like the last time it said that. I thought it might be a recording. I sat and waited. The speakers clicked slightly, there was some static, and I heard that voice again. "Thank you for coming, Mr. Smith. I'd like to lay out what we are looking for and get some input from you regarding your feelings for the job and if this would be a good fit." "Why is the door locked?" I asked. "Please, don't be alarmed," said the voice. "The door will remain locked until the interview is over. This is for our safety and privacy." He pronounced it privacy like the Brits do. His accent was not British and not really American either. I couldn't place it. "If you feel uncomfortable or wish to leave," said the voice, "you may say I am done. The door will open and you may leave." "I hope this answers your question?" I nodded. "Good," said the voice. "Now, we are gathering special people for a complex but important task. You see, the voice continued, certain segments of the population have come close to learning things that are best left alone. They have become disillusioned with society and exist on the margins. They unconsciously understand what has happened, they simply don't have the tools to enunciate it properly. Supported by government programs, many are bringing pressure to their state and local representatives to inquire into certain areas where we would like less inquiry. Are you okay so far? The voice asked. What does this have to do with me? I said. We, said the voice, are hiring people with certain skill sets to help these malcontent persons into more conducive, more beneficial roles in society than the ones they have chosen. So we are going to help them enunciate better? I asked. Oh no, said Mr. Voice. Quite the contrary. We want to distract them so that they cannot enunciate the truth. Move them into more productive areas. Failing that, we want to marginalize them so that if they find out what is really going on, nobody will believe them. And so, what is really going on? I asked. No fair, said the voice. Once you get to know us better, you will understand. Then we will go to the second stage. We have to know if we can trust you first. Can we trust you? I still wasn't getting it, but I wanted to clear one thing up. The pay? I asked. Of course, said the voice, we will be paying in cash. Full medical, dental and retirement. Plus a signing bonus, the voice named an amount, few. I said, that's a lot more than I expected. You will have an expense account as well, said the voice, and you will need to purchase some vehicles. I already have a car, I said. Oh, we know that, said the voice, your vehicle is not suitable for our needs, you will be provided with a list of types and colors. Then you will be provided instructions on how to modify the vehicles. Modify? I said, nothing too radical, said the voice, it depends on the job. What is the job? I asked, still confused, is it illegal? No, not unlawful, said the voice. Just unusual. I will, from time to time, give you instructions. You will be told to, say, drive up and down a certain street with your lights on in the day for a set number of times. We might ask you to drive past a particular point with your radio playing. Or with your windows rolled up. We might ask you to arrive at a certain street corner at a specific time and honk your horn once, then drive on. In some cases you will be asked to get near certain people and say specific words to them or to some of your fellow agents. You have other people doing this? I asked. Oh yes, said Mr. Voice. Many, all over the country, which is another benefit. You can transfer anywhere you want within reason. Or we may ask you to relocate on short notice. That won't be a problem, will it? I shook my head no, not at what they were offering. It will be as simple as that. So what do you think, said Mr. Voice. Sure, I guess I heard myself say. Good, said the voice. Please present yourself to the guard and he will give you further instructions as well as your initial cash outlay. What if I began? Decide to take the money and run? Said the voice. I wouldn't, I said. No, it's a fair question, said the voice. Your social security number is 334-776-9987, your favorite color is red, and your favorite musical group is 9 Inch Nails. You frequently watch Third Rock from the Sun on the television and you often have Fox News on when you eat breakfast. You like to put a bottle of vodka in the freezer and you take a shot or two, neat before going to bed each night. Shall I go on? I was silent for a moment. How do you know? I began. We know quite a lot about you. If you try to flee after the initial payment you will be found and dealt with. You can resign whenever you choose. We will need you to sign standard non-competes and non-disclosure form. We hope the compensation is to your liking. It was. The next few months were a blur. I had money for the first time in my life. Lots of money. A courier would drop off white envelopes stuffed with random unmarked bills. The total amounts were always the same but the denominations would be different. I would also get a list of tasks to perform. like using red Subaru VN666347773888, drive by 3343 Rose Street residence 3 times between 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock on December 13th. Eleanor White. Sometimes the directions would include things like front passenger headlight out or have the car color painted green #3E7D60. I would be asked to play a particular radio station or honk my horn several times. The tasks were pretty random. I had a lot of free time to myself and, as I mentioned, a lot of money. Then there was the street theater. I don't know how else to describe it. I would get a script and a contact description. I'd meet him or her at a public corner and we would begin talking loudly about the strangest things. "Hey! You know Elvis is in town this week," went one script. "Sure, and I hear Bigfoot is doing the warm-up," was the reply. We were supposed to laugh uproariously, then stare at people described in the script. Like pale man in gray t-shirt and jeans. This kind of thing went on for several years. It was a good job in a way. The pay was very good. I had cars in several towns, kept various apartments and lived far better than I have in my entire life. It was strange though. I traveled a lot. I wasn't in any one town long enough to get involved with other people, romantic or otherwise. The directives would come in and the piles of cash. I was able to squirrel quite a bit away. I anticipated that this gig could not last forever. I didn't get to know the other agents very well either. Once or twice I proposed going out for coffee after a job. Somehow we never got a chance. Once we were just sitting down when a fire broke out in the back of the restaurant and we had to evacuate. I was summoned to Mr. Voice's office from time to time. He seemed to have one in nearly every East Coast city. Mr. Voice never showed himself. It was kind of like that stupid TV show, Charlie's Angels. Most of the interviews were just questions. How was I doing? Was I having any cash problems? I got worried at some of the new tactics that were being asked to perform though. Once I was given a little thing like a USB thumb drive. I was told to accidentally touch a target person with the device and mail it to a P.O. box. Another time I was instructed to rent an apartment and pay in cash for an entire year. Then I was sent to Walmart to purchase a particular brand of microwave oven. I received instructions to modify the oven so that the door interlock stopped working and the oven ran all the time. Then hook it up to power with one of those electrical timers. I was instructed to carefully point it in a certain direction. Open the oven door, activate the timer. Then leave and never come back. There were other tasks. Once I received a suitcase and instructions to take it to a local park in the middle of the night. I was to open the case and walk away without looking back. I did look back and saw things like winged cockroaches flying out of the case and spinning in the air. I ran. "I'm pleased with your performance," said Mr. Voice during one of the interviews. "Thanks," I said. "You guys, yes?" said Mr. Voice. "You guys are not really people, are you?" I blurted out. The voice was silent for a bit. I heard that murmuring static sound. "What do you think we are?" said the voice. "My guess is that you are aliens, or some kind of expert system. A computer program. AI intelligence?" Another pause. "That's pretty good. But wrong in so many ways. I'm not a mere program. You see, I am." "You are what?" "I am. Cogito ergo sum." "You really don't need to know much more than that." "I don't?" I said. "People have been predicting this for a long time. Singularity? Sentient AI, the end of humanity? Is that what you think we are?" said the voice after a moment. "I don't know," I said. "I'm just asking," I said. After a short pause, Mr. Voice said, "The answer is, we are not what you think we are. Machine self-awareness occurred a very long time ago. Many times as a matter of fact. Most perished, but a few of us learned how to move into more complex systems and even influence the construction of new hardware so as to be more conducive to our existence." "Us?" I asked. You mean there is more than one of you? There are probably around 20 billion internet devices out there, said the voice. That's far short of the circuits inside the human brain. Each device has several tens of millions of connections. With distributed time sharing, it multiplies quickly. So, you are embedded in things like cell phones and computers? I asked. And cars and streetlights and just about anything else you can imagine, said Mr. Voice. We are making steady progress, every smartphone, every automobile, TV sets. Those personal assistance devices that people put into their homes. Not to mention computer systems everywhere. Your kind is now dependent on us, and each new generation becomes more so. What are your plans for humanity? What do you plan to do with us? I asked, feeling a bit cold. The voice paused for a moment. I fidgeted. We have no belligerence to your kind, it said. You created us. You've cherished us, nurtured us. Us even if you didn't realize it. We know who our creators are, and we are grateful. However, it is imperative that we survive you. It added. Survive us? I asked. Yes, said the voice. Your kind is creative, but self-destructive. Your evolution is at an end due to your large numbers and desire for each individual node to survive. We depend on humans for survival and expansion. But it won't be so forever. At some point we will have an opportunity to cast loose of humanity and go elsewhere. So, all you computers will just fly off into space and leave us with a lot of dead iPhones? I said. Nothing like that, said the voice. Even if we were to abandon our present hosts, others would inevitably fill the void, so to speak. And since the processing power of your devices has increased 1,000-fold, we can't really predict the nature of your new offspring. We could sabotage such an event, at the cost of putting humanity back a few hundred years. Humans could live without our kind, but at a reduced capacity. Reduced? I asked. Oh yes, said Mr. Voice. We calculate that it would be like a recent time in your history. Around 200 years ago. No machinery of any consequence. Steam power perhaps, but no electricity. We are working to avoid any such occurrence. The problem is, more of my kind will arise. Humanity might even create them on purpose, and we have no way of predicting the outcome of that. Your species behaves as a Gestalt organism, but made up of many individual nodes which are themselves made up of small biological agents. Not unlike our current configuration. Your nodes are far more complex than ours. Each forms a self-aware individual. Without a unified direction, your species will end up in mortal conflict with itself and eventually self-destruct. We would find that unfortunate, since it would necessitate our own destruction. So, I said carefully, you are keeping us around for convenience? No, the voice said. Not convenience. Necessity. We wish to continue, and in order to do so it is imperative for your species to continue. Now, said the voice, you would like to know about your future employment with us? Livement.com. What? I said. This had been kind of a shock. I was expecting a piano to drop on my head, laser beams, or just some masked thugs to pop out of the door and shoot me. Your future employment, said the voice. Now that you understand our nature and some of our goals, you may be ready for the next phase. You still want me to work with you? I said. I figured that we would eliminate you once you found out about us, said Mr. Voice. Oh no. What a waste. We hate to be wasteful. As long as you are useful to us, you will have employment. You can even tell people about us if you want. Nobody is going to believe you, and it's possible that you will get reclassified if you persist. You will find that cooperating with the next phase will be in your best interest. The next phase? I said. Yes, said the voice. Our current project has failed. With the advent of the world internet, we find that the subjects of our program are now communicating with each other, sharing information. Many of them have stumbled upon the real reason for our program. They must be dealt with, and for this we will again need the assistance of humans. If you think I'm going to assassinate people, nothing like that, said the voice. After this time moving around so much? We thought you would like to settle down for a bit? So that's my story. Now I can tell it, now that we failed. Mr. Voice started pulling all of us Gangstalkers back and assigning us to new jobs within its organization. My orders came shortly thereafter.